25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late.
So let me get this straight. The farmers of Arkansas are asking the federal government for handouts, for checks, because they are struggling financially because of the tariffs and other policies of Donald Trump. They can't sell their soybeans and other goods into foreign countries like China because of the tariffs. They're now too expensive for them to be able to sell them into China because of the retaliatory tariffs. And they can't afford equipment. They can't afford the high rising prices of equipment because of other tariffs on goods and manufacturing and raw material and everything like that. And they are saying they have never seen it this bad. There was a farmer who's in his 39th season of farming, and he says he has never seen it this bad. He literally said, Donald Trump, you said you love us, but I'm not seeing the fruits of your love. What the fuck? Arkansas farmers, and they're saying, of course, it's affecting everywhere else. We saw Nebraska was having problems, facing bankruptcy. Farmers across this country are facing a huge pinch, and a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump and his policies. Well, you should have thought about that, farmers for Trump, when you went into the voting booth and places like Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska went ruby ass red in 2024 in November. You guys made your bed, you fucked around, and now you're finding out. So yeah, the fruits of Donald Trump's love are rotten pieces of shit. If you didn't know that going in, you know it now. So as your farm continues to struggle and you're looking for a socialist handout, why don't you try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps that you preach to everybody else about and do something about it? Because frankly, the rest of the country doesn't give a damn anymore. You should have thought about that before you sold the rest of us down the river.
2 days ago in Arkansas, farmers gathered together from all across the state to pray and speak with their leaders because they are drowning. Listen to this.
Main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back.
So, how can this be fixed?
In the short term, they have no choice but to mail us a check. I don't know a farmer that likes the check program. Nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars, but nobody wants to go broke. Nobody wants to lose everything.
This is exactly what happens when you put your faith in a billionaire. A billionaire who can't control his piss, his bowels. He has to rape women. He's a felon and a con man. These God-fearing men voted for him anyways. They didn't care that their wives were going to lose health care. They didn't care that their daughters were going to be suppressed and oppressed. They didn't care that they were going to try to take away women's voting rights. Here we are. And y'all laughed when we told you. But we warned you. Y'all were telling us it was fake news, calling it fake news. Well, bet it ain't so fake now, is it? It's affecting their land, their home, and their pockets. Guess what? We've all got to suffer with them because they all handed the keys to a grifter, and now he's going to drive the car right off the goddamn cliff. You voted for this, you prayed for this, and now we're all going to bleed with you.
Okay, so Arkansas farmers got together in northeast Arkansas and had a meeting with other politicians from our state to talk about the farming crisis. The amount of comments of "this is who you voted for," it doesn't matter who you voted for. It still affects everyone, not just farmers. I can't imagine being in a place where you're trying to not only save your occupation, but to also help save, because no doubt you eat some of the food that these people are growing. Arkansas produces the most rice in the United States. So it affects you. I don't care who you voted for. Whenever I offer a lending hand, I'm not asking who you voted for. did you vote Democrat? How dare you? It doesn't matter who you vote for. And as long as you keep up this whole, well, that's who you voted for, nothing changes and nothing gets fixed. And you stay divided just like they want you to. So, just stop commenting the little, this is who you voted for. Because you sound uneducated whenever you post that.
Hey, Arkansas farmers, Arkansas, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You all voted to allow all of this to happen. You all raised against China. You all raised against the rest of the world. But you want China to buy your soybeans and your whatever the hell you produce. Yeah, the people that you despise, you want them to buy shit from you, right? That's not how the world works. And since you hate socialism, no money for you. Because socialism means taxpayers' money is shared. But you don't want that. So I suggest, Miss Arkansas farmer, that you pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's what you wanted everybody else to do. And if you think the countries that you despise want to buy your produce and your hogs and your chicken and your soybeans, they're not buying American products because of your hate-filled MAGA agenda.
Hey guys, it's Will, your favorite rural campaign and elections expert. Listen, every time I do a video on farming and ranching, I get some version of the following message in my comment section. Well, it's your fault you voted for him. FAFO. You're getting what you deserve. Etc., etc., etc. Well, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is take a few minutes to watch my videos, okay? Because if you do that, you're going to know right off the bat that I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I'm a farmer, and I didn't vote for Donald Trump. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of farmers out there just like me who did not vote for Donald Trump. And listen, guys, I get the whole FAFO response. The fact that 70% of farmers and ranchers voted for Donald Trump, and now the policies that he's implementing are devastating to small farmers and farm ranchers in this country. And I totally understand the response of saying they're getting what they deserve. It's their fault. FAFO. All I'm asking you to do is take a minute to think through the ramifications of that attitude, though. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm not telling you you're right. I'm just asking you to think through the ramifications of that way of thinking. Would you hold everyone else to the same standard? Would you say that because a large number of white women in this country voted for Donald Trump, then everybody should suffer the consequences who's a female in this country? Would you say that because a large number of young black men voted for Donald Trump, that all African Americans should suffer the consequences of what Donald Trump does to harm them? I'm just asking you to give the same grace to the American farmer and rancher that you would give to anyone else in this country. And I'm not talking about grace in the religious sense. I'm talking about grace in the human sense, okay? I'm just saying to you that when somebody admits that they made a bad decision, when farmers and ranchers slowly begin to admit, and they're doing it now, guys, I see it every day in my comments when I post these videos, when they're willing to step up and say, I made a mistake in voting for Donald Trump, then you've got a choice. And the choices are simple. The first choice is to say, sorry, FAFO, I don't care. You're suffering the consequences of your vote. The other side of that coin is to offer just a little bit of grace. Why do I think we should do that? Because we've got to get 12 to 14 million people that sat on the couch in this last election to get up off their butts and go to the polls in 2 years. Or we've got to convince over 230,000 people across 3 to 4 states that they voted the wrong way the last time and that they need to vote the right way in 2 years. Either one of those reproaches is going to require us to have just a little bit of grace when somebody steps up to the plate and says, I made a mistake, I want to be part of the solution. And my question to you is, can you give them that grace? There's something else I want you to think about as well when it comes to farmers and ranchers. And that is, what do farmers and ranchers do? It seems like a simple question, but I think many people, when they argue the perspective of FAFO, they forget what farmers and ranchers do. They grow the food that feeds the world. And nobody else does that more than farmers and ranchers right here in the United States of America. And who suffers? If those small farms go out of business, if they're bought out by large conglomerations that want to drive up prices by not producing as much food, who suffers? It's not just that farmer or rancher that voted for Donald J. Trump. We know from multiple studies that have been done, when food prices go up, the people that suffer are the poor, the elderly, and single moms and children. So all I'm asking you to do is to have a little bit of grace and to think about the consequences of your decision as to whether or not you're going to allow people who have been lied to, who have made a mistake, to come back into the fold. Because either way, for those single moms and for those elderly people and for those children and for people in poverty, we have to do the right thing to keep food prices down. And that's all I'm asking you to consider. So 2 points. Number one, I did not vote for Donald J. Trump. And there are a lot of farmers and ranchers just like me who didn't. Don't paint us all with a broad brush. And number two, the people who are going to suffer from the FAFO mentality are not just the farmers and ranchers who lose their farms, but the poor people, the single moms, the elderly, and the children that have to pay 20, 30, 100, 200% more for their food.